Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm going to be reading more of Mail Order Soulmate. We're on page 35, so let's get started. But Catherine nursed her baby on the couch after diaper change. Zach slipped out the sliding glass door off the kitchen, stepped silently across the deck and out into the frozen yard. He held his phone to his ear, waiting for his friend to answer. "Come on, Logan, pick up, he mumbled under his breath, tugging the zipper of his jacket a bit higher. "Logan here. What's up?" "There's a woman at my door saying she's my wife." There was a telling pause, but what it was supposed to tell him? He wasn't sure. Did his friend think he'd finally cracked? Did he think this was a joke? Or was he trying to figure out how Zach had evidently married someone he obviously didn't know and had never met? How'd you marry someone over the internet? Logan let out a snort of laughter before controlling it and replying soberly, his Australian accent especially thick. "Is she of the blow-up variety?" "Not funny." Zach's voice was tighter than his late grandmother's embroidery stitches. "Right, so you had a few too many and married someone off those mail order broadsides you keep teasing Ginger about?" Even after Zach caught the banquet at a mutual friend's wedding, Ginger still hadn't been able to find him someone after nearly a year of searching. Now it looked as if all Zach needed was to go online and click "I do." "That appears to be the story," he replied, pinching the bridge of his nose. Zach was embarrassed that he'd lost control of himself, impacting the lives of others in the process, and didn't even recall doing so. A good agent didn't do that. He was no longer an agent. He supposed that was probably for the best, wasn't it? "So are you going to keep her?" Logan asked. "She's got a baby, and she hadn't told him she was coming. Or had she?" And Zach, having forgotten everything, hadn't logged in to receive a message, and as a result was a no-show, forcing her to take a long and expensive cab ride to Blueberry Springs. He was a horrible human being. So, Logan replied, "You like kids, don't you? Instant family." "She looks scared." "Try talking to her." "I have. And she took a cab from the airport with nothing but a stroller, a diaper bag, and a backpack. Something wasn't right with the scenario, and it wasn't just that a seemingly sane woman believed it was appropriate in this day and age to marry someone you didn't know, as well as bringing your infant son along for the ride." But that glint of fear that had sliced through Catherine's steady gaze, what was that about? She hid it well. But he was trying to catch things like that. He didn't believe the fear was simply about him or the situation. It was something else. "You forgot to pick her up?" Logan asked, disbelief lancing his voice as well as a measure of disappointment. "I didn't know she was coming." Logan's tone turned thoughtful, telling Zach his pal was scooting into brainstorming mode. Escaping an abusive partner, maybe. The idea made Zach's insides squeeze and smoke came out of his ears. "Hiding from the law?" Logan offered. "I can run a background check on her." "What did you say her name was?" "We're not agents anymore." Zach pinched the bridge of his nose again, stomping down a circle of snow with his boots, wishing they had indeed ran a check and get the full story on the woman in his living room. "We aren't authorized to dig into people's lives, especially without a vivid reason." He straightened his shoulders, pulling in a lungful of cold air. "And anyways, I'm starting this whole new leaf thing where I try and act like a civilian and not assume the worst in everyone." "So she's cute," Logan said. Zach paused. "Cute." He'd been trying to avoid sizing her up, as she was a single mom and therefore not fair game. She belonged to someone, him apparently. She wasn't single, and neither was he. Shouldn't he have a document in his inbox saying she was married or something? He was obviously worse off than he thought. But was this woman fair game? He didn't quite think so. Logan was waiting for a reply about Catherine's looks. Yeah, she's cute, Zach said. Great curves, blonde. He could feel some of the tension that had been cooling inside him release a little. Logan let out a chuckle. Natural blonde? Nope. Your type, then. Zach didn't reply but felt the hint of a smile. Does it seem like her head's on straight? Logan asked. The way she slowly sized him up, along with her quick, sweeping gazes, told him she wasn't naive or obvious to the crazy scenario of this unorthodox situation. She tested him when she passed her child off to him, using the infant like radar, a detector that sought out the good and the bad in the world. She was resourceful, he said, still forming a full judgment of her. So she's smart, Logan confirmed. Yeah, a smart woman doing something stupid. Definitely a story there. Then again, flip the mirror on him. He married her, hadn't he? Definitely a story here, too. Maybe he shouldn't think about this too long and hard. Think she's going to want to know everything about you? Logan asked quietly. In agent's worst fear, the request to reveal deeply personal and sometimes classified information as a form of intimacy. The one thing none of them could deliver. With that wall between them and their spouses, most agents didn't stay married long, at least not the active ones. My gut says she doesn't want to tell me about her life. Sounds like a perfect match. Two of you can play don't ask, don't tell when it comes to your past. I vote you keep her around and see if the relationship pans out. I don't know her. We all have to start somewhere. Ginger and I started our relationship based on a lie, and look where it's taken us. Good places. So I keep her and see where it goes? Zach shook his head and frowned. It felt like he was talking about a stray, which in a way maybe she was. If she was smart, resourceful, and willing to marry a stranger, then something was going on in her life, and chances were she needed shelter, protection, and that was his calling card. No, he was putting too much into it. He didn't have a calling card any longer unless it was for the installing home security systems that beeped every time the front door opened. It was possible she simply found single motherhood too overwhelming. Her appearance didn't have to mean something big and dark. 100 years ago, this kind of marriage situation was commonplace, and arranged marriages tended to do well because there weren't unrealistic romantic expectations, and that was all kinds of perfect for a man like him. Although, come to think of it, maybe the two of them weren't true strangers. They must have had conversations online before marrying. All he had to do was find the site, log in, and see what they chatted about. Easy. He'd have a story in no time, including where the baby's father was. You want to pop by and give me a read on her? He found himself asking, his plan of action in place. Why don't you call in a favor and run a check on her? Logan suggested. She's my wife, and I'm trying to do this normal life stuff. That doesn't include running background checks and getting full Daenerys shows. It means having conversations with people. Plus, I could get the guys in trouble for using agency resources for an unauthorized domestic situation. Fair enough, even though it hasn't stopped us in the past. We were working with Scott. From time to time, the two of them had helped the underfunded, short-staffed local police officer, Zach Malone, with the odd case, which more often than not had led to them calling in favors from old associates. In other words, collecting perps so they could lock them up faster. It was definitely rewarding having friends in high places, but in these cases, he'd felt classified, and reaching out with this, he didn't. I'm plotting out that security system over at Mandy's new brownie factory in Derbyshire, Logan said, but I'll come by tomorrow to run the plans by you. Make sure your new wife's home. Thanks. I've got your back, mate. Treat her like a guest. Make her feel safe. Safe, right. He could do that. He spent a career keeping people safe. And what Just be yourself. What's that supposed to mean? You're a babe magnet, Logan paused, his voice lowering, and remember, condom. I know, I'm not new to this. Dude, she just got here. She has a baby. Right. Zach squeezed his eyes shut. Where had the answer come from? He wasn't one to push things over to hurry women alone. And a woman like Catherine needed space, a lot of it. Which was good, actually, because even though he apparently been looking for a wife online, he wasn't looking for love. He wasn't ready for something like that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But yeah, when the time comes, Logan said, that's always a good plan. What I was going to say is that you tend to make wise decisions while under the influence of the internet. She might just be the one you've been waiting for. Zach ended the call, Logan's teasing words about Catherine, a curvy woman with an unirresistible British accent, being the one he'd been looking for all of his life, echoing in his mind. And to know if that was true, all he likely had to do was split upstairs to his computer to read their forgotten messages before their next conversation, because after all, they had been enough to make him decide to marry her.